Just be a couple of minutes and we're going to launch the
announcement from the state.
Here it goes.
Idiots.
Kick it off with the Judds on KUHSdenver.com. I love that.
It's always fun with you, Rhonda. It's a WTF show. Welcome everybody to the show.
I'm going to get Henry in a picture here. There we go. Look at that.
Make history.
Yeah, I was doing that today. I was protesting.
What were you protesting, Rhonda?
We were protesting the draft decision of Roe v. Wade and the taking away of our rights that we've had for 50 years.
That's like saying you can't vote no more because you're a woman.
Well, it's going to get there. I mean, there is already...
Who's doing this? There's somebody behind all
well,
this.
about 30% of the population supports this, and they've managed to jerry-rig and take control of the Republican Party so that 30% of the population, it's like the tail wagging the dog, you know, and that's what's going on. But anyway, we're trying to, we're not going to give up, even if the Supreme Court ends up doing that decision. We'll end up getting people in office that will eventually codify this. So as soon as we can codify it, as soon as we can get enough people in there. So all we have to do is get 5 more people, and it's the difference between keeping your reproductive rights and not. So, and your health care, and so the rally today was not only to show our support for women across the country and the fact that we're not going to take it, we're not going to let our rights be taken away, our health care be taken away. And in addition to that, to show women in other states that may be in hostile states, I would call them women hostile, female hostile states, that we're here in Colorado and we're here in New Mexico and we're here in a number of other states, and we're raising a lot of money. And right now, 50% of the abortions that are taking place in Colorado are from people from Texas and Missouri and Oklahoma, women that need this care and can't get it. So we've raised a ton of money to bring people in, to fly them in, to drive them in, to get them here so that they can be protected here in Colorado, get the services that they need. And of course we have Privacy Act, so nobody will be able to find out who did this or what. So it's a shame we're going to have to start like an underground railroad for women.
It's crazy how you have to do this nowadays. What you have to do just to make it in life. How they've opted to do all these. Who is behind this? There's got to be somebody.
Well, there's dark money behind it, because here's the reality of it. I mean, there's a couple things that are pretty real on it. One is that they're not stopping there, because in Arizona there's a state legislator there that's got a bill put together that she's trying to pass, which would ban the sale of condoms in Arizona. Now that's health, that's AIDS, that's health. That's why we've been able to stop the STDs and things. So that's number one. There's 2 senators currently in the United States Senate that are debating whether or not they should, if they can get control, to do a ban on make abortions illegal nationwide, to add in IUDs. They think IUDs should be added into that. So now they're going to deny health care, they're going to deny birth control, they're going to deny condoms, safe sex. So it doesn't stop at Roe v. Wade. That's the problem. It also has privacy issues that Roe v. Wade enshrined in that decision. There's a lot rolled into that one decision, and rescinding that's going to change a whole lot of things for people.
It's crazy how they've done this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. And so all I can say is that, so we've got that piece of it, and then you've got the fact that in some of these states like Missouri, if a 12-year-old girl gets pregnant and these laws pass and they ban it by incest, or an 11-year-old girl, which is possible, she can't do anything about it. She has to carry that child to term, and she's 11. Usually it can result in the death of the mother. It can certainly result in the mother never being able to have any other children. The child is a product of incest, which means there's going to be health issues and other things that are going on. And then you're going to have to go through all that trauma. So, it's just not fair. I mean, these exceptions need to be in there. I mean, I agree with the fact that there should be some kind of a limit. Unless the life of the mother or the life of the baby's not viable, there should be some type of limit, like 18 weeks or something along those lines. But if the life of the mother's at stake, or the child is not a viable baby, the organs have grown outside the body, it's only going to live a little bit. I don't see any. To force people to do this it's turning us into chattel.
It's crazy how this is going on. Yeah. You and I have lived the time when they were doing Roe versus Wade.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden it was women can't vote, women can now vote. Blacks can't vote, blacks can vote. It's like turning back the page of
50 years back. We're going 50 years back in time. And frankly, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to donate my money. I'm going to donate my time and my efforts to continuing to fight for the right for women to choose. And what I don't like about it is the religious implications of it. This is not your church, it's our country. It's true.
It's
And,
really true. It's
and
like-
I also don't like the religious implications, because the fact that in Jewish law, 2,000 years ago, it's been enshrined in Jewish, the Torah and other Jewish teachings, rabbinical law, that the fetus is an extension of the mother until it's born. And that was in place at the time of Jesus. In other words, that he was a rabbi, so he certainly knew that that was the law, and that was the way that people were viewing it.
The way
But
it's
yet he
supposed to
never
be.
said one word about it, not one. If it was such a big deal, why didn't he say something about it when it was in the Jewish law and he came to reform the Jewish church? You know, so
And-
there's no foundation of this in any type of Christianity, really. It's only in fundamental craziness that it finds a home.
I
You know,
like this
no,
about fundamental.
I mean, it, honestly,
It's true,
it
yeah, it's true.
finds a home with people that have, you know, I don't blame the people that support it. I'm not saying that about them, but they've been brainwashed about this for decades, and it's a way to control the population.
Yes, I see
And it's a
that.
way to control the poor
And
population.
make everybody pissed off in the process.
Well, they're going to control. I mean, here's what happens when women don't have these productive rights. What happens is mostly it affects the poor, because I guarantee you, I don't care if you support Roe v. Wade or not, if you had a daughter that needed this, you would fly her to another state if you had money and you'd take care of it. So it's disenfranchised for the poor and people of color. And what will happen is it's anywhere from 10 to 30,000 to have a baby. Many people have insurance, many people don't. They have a $10,000 deductible. So now you're taking the most vulnerable and you're saying, now you got to come up with 10 grand. We're forcing you to have a baby. You have to come up with $10,000. If you don't pay, you're going to have bad credit for the rest of your life. You're going to have a hard time getting a job, and you're going to have a hard time finding an apartment. So now we've taken these people, completely disadvantaged them again. And then you raise a child that, there's 600,000, there's 400,000 children to 600,000 children in foster care. There's 400,000 of them that'll never be adopted. Get out and adopt one. Before you vote for this, before you do this, you know what? Get out and get one of those kids and help them, because this is a bunch of BS, and I'm really upset about it. And the forcing of pregnancy and the Alito's decision. Did you read what he said about it?
No, I didn't.
He said that it was important to preserve the. I can't think the exact words, but it was the of natural-born children in this country. That, in other words, we needed a continuous supply of domestic infants. That's what he said. And the word for word. So what that tells me is, one, they're reducing us to livestock. You can't tell me when to have a baby or when not to.
That's
And
crazy.
secondly, how underneath that are the racial tones? We want people who are born in this country. We want you to have babies so there's more of us than there is them. I mean, that's really what it is. And it's crazy. And, if they thought about it, the cost that this is going to put on the foster system and everything else, people are going to be paying for this for a long time. And they don't want to support it. Then you've got the Republicans, they don't want to pay welfare, they don't want to help, they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. But we're going to force you to have a baby, and then we're going to throw you out in the street with it. So I'm pretty pissed off about it, yes. And I don't have any, they just don't want to do it, and it's crazy. I have every respect for people's religious beliefs. Let me say that. I'm going to back up. If you believe this is against your religion, I respect that. Don't have one.
That's right.
But the difference in freedom of religion is this. You're free to practice religion any way you want, any God you want, anything that you want. You're free to do that, right?
That's right,
You're free.
exactly. Mhm.
You're free to follow a religion that tells you this is bad, and you don't believe in it, so you don't do it. But the minute you take your religious beliefs and you try to turn them into law in our country, you become a religious oppressor. So you change from religious freedom to religious oppression. And we are living in a time when the religious right wants to oppress our rights, want to oppress us, and I am over it. I am so over it, it's not funny.
It's crazy, like you said. It's like it's like going back and overturning women can vote. It's like going back and saying blacks can't vote.
Well, they do that too if they could.
I know, that's
Yeah.
the
Well,
same thing. There's
underneath
nothing
most
different.
of these people is an underlying prejudice. I
Yes.
believe. I really believe that.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's all about that.
Mhm.
And it's all about keeping the poor down, because if you can't afford anything and you're working 3 jobs and you're exhausted, you're not going to get out there and walk in the walks. You're not going to run for school boards. You're not going to get, no, I mean, seriously.
I know.
You're not going to do any of those things,
'Cause
and
you
you're not
can't,
going to even
yeah.
maybe vote because you can't. You're just too busy. And so between the gerrymandering and then forcing babies on the population, that brown and black people as well as white people, but mostly the people who are poor. And I'm not saying all blacks are poor, certainly don't, that's a misnomer as well. But it is disproportionate to the populations in our country that are poor. And by forcing this on them, they are really forcing the fact that they won't have time, to get educated. They may not have time, like I said, to run the school boards. So it's a whole plan to keep down and oppress the people, because the people's will, 70% of the people want this, 70%. And you got 30% of the population trying to dictate to 70%, that's never gonna work. Because we're not going down quiet. We are not going down quiet, I can tell you that. That's,
It's crazy the way it's working, though. I mean, you know, you watch all these kind of things that go on in our society, in our United States of America, to see this, and you and I both are looking at this like,
I marched for this 100 years ago. I have to start again.
That's what
I
I'm
mean, it's
saying.
like, you gotta be kidding me.
Or just go hang, draw, and quarter the people who are behind this.
Yeah, really.
Yank them out and
I
do
think,
it
I
their
think the
fashion way.
biggest mistake we made on January 6th was not letting them hang Mike Pence and then stop him. Okay, here he is.
That is funny.
I kept shouting that at the rally.
Yeah.
Hang Mike Pence!
Hang, draw, and quarter him.
You know, but no, I'll tell you, this is a revolution. And we are in a civil war, whether people realize it or not. We are in one. It's just that we don't play ours out as violently as they have in the past. We do ours in voting booths and with rallies and things like that. But we are in one. And don't make any mistake. If you are listening and you're a woman, make no mistake. They're coming after you.
That's right.
And you're going to lose a lot of rights. It's not just this one. It's
Like
a
I
right to
said,
your medical privacy. It's good. It could be all types of other things.
I think it's the most insane kind of thing to go after that. Somebody made it up. Somebody came after that and wrote. Who wrote it up initially? Out of the Supreme Court.
Alito.
Alito.
And he's a piece of crap.
What's he doing in there?
I don't know.
Just yank him out of there.
He's got a right to be there. He was appointed right. Who doesn't have a right to be there is Amy Coney Barrett, because she was forced in 2-3 days before the the election already started voting. They wouldn't let Obama put a justice in a year before, but they crammed this bitch down your throat. No, they did. They crammed this bitch down your throat. That's what she is. Crammed it down her throat and put her in 3 days before.
Sing, sister. Sing.
Okay, I'm just bad. Okay.
No, I love this, Rhonda. You're telling the truth.
I am telling the truth. And we have got to stick together as women. And so I know that in many states, let's just say it this way, camping is illegal in many states, but in Colorado, camping is allowed. So if you're a sister or a friend of mine or have a daughter and you want to go camping in Colorado, you can get a hold of me and I'll put you up and I'll take you camping. And then I'll drive you back to wherever the hell sick, crazy state you're from.
It's wild too, Rhonda. It's like you and I see eye to eye on all this. There's nothing we don't see eye to eye on. Because when I seen that come, I go, are they just bringing this out of the blue to piss everybody
Yes.
off?
And to keep our eyes off the fact that
What
the
they're
Justice, Clarence Thomp's wife, helped fund and helped support and was texting President Trump during the insurrection. Don't give up, keep doing it, keep violating our rights, keep blowing in the Capitol, keep beating police. But these are the people that are supposed to be for God and country. They're supposed to be for
God and country.
Right,
And they're tearing
bullshit.
us
I
up
call
in-
bullshit on it.
Oh, big
I don't believe you can be a legitimate Christian and support that.
And
movement.
they claim that they hide behind the cloak of Christianity, and then behind the cloak, oh, we're Christian and all that, and then here they are pushing this down.
Well, you know what they say, they'll know we are Christians by our love. Let's go kill these women.
It's like divide and conquer. Women, you can't mess with the women. The women are the procreators of life. And when you start doing these kind of things, justifying who can do what, when, and where,
Well,
you're...
even the story of Adam and Eve falls short. Let's just get into this. Because you got Adam and Eve, right? They had 2 kids, 2 boys. Well, where the hell did we come from? How did we get here? They slept with their mom. That explains the whole human race. We're all products of incest. Right? But let's look at biology. Let's look at biology. In biology, every egg, when it's fertilized, every egg is female. And they eventually, some will become male, but they all start out as female.
I didn't know that.
Yes, they all start out as female. So what does that tell you
That I'm a woman?
about the whole story about they created Adam first and then Eve was a rib? If anything,
So
women was first.
you're a spare rib.
That's right. I'm a spare rib. And they're treating us that way too. But I mean, seriously, all eggs are
Even
female.
now as a woman?
You were at one point, yes. And then, something kind of popped out. You weren't. Then you weren't.
What is that?
What is that?
That is
That's everything right there.
little tiny little bitty itty bitty.
I'm off my soapbox. I had to scream for a few
No, that's
minutes.
okay. That was
I'm
good.
just.
I
I'm just
really
angry.
like the way you talk on a lot of these subjects. You just come out and you put it out there in layman's terms, not this jibber jabber how some of them put it out there. You put it out in layman's terms, easily understandable, and you talk like we want to hear.
Well, in plain language, women, If you want to maintain your right to privacy and medical care, you want to maintain the right that if you have to choose between your life, and you already have 3 kids, and the life of a fetus, that you're able to choose your life. You want to be able to choose your child, 11-year-old child's life, if she's raped or molested by a teacher and becomes pregnant, you don't want her to die. You want to be able to choose that. You want to be able to choose if you have a daughter who's too small, and they say if she has a baby it'd be dangerous for her, and then something happens because birth control is not always 100% accurate. You want to be able to choose your child's life, don't you? I do. I want to be able to choose the life of my child.
And why did the Supreme Court justice decide to do this? Do you think it's coming from the Trump camp still?
Oh yeah, it's all coming from those crazies. What they've done is they know that this is an issue that unites people.
Yes.
So they do this. They don't give a shit about it. I mean, I'll bet you money half those senators have mistresses that have had abortions.
Easily.
And daughters. I'll bet you $1 million because they have money and they'll take them wherever. But the reality is that I know Trump probably has because he cheated. What, he got 5 wives, cheated on every one of them. I mean, give me a break. He really represents God and country, doesn't he?
Oh,
I'm so sick of the hypocrisy of this. It's not even funny. It's so hypocritical, and it's driving people away from the church. I liked going to church until all this crap. I'm never setting foot in one again. I'll tell you that right now. God strike me dead if I do. I am not going unless it's a wedding or a funeral. And and I'll still believe in God, and I still believe in Jesus. I mean, I do. I'm a Christian that way, but I'm not one of those. And I didn't want to say I'm a Christian because it's like makes people think you're crazy. So I'm going to say that I am I'm a deist. I believe in God. That's it. And that's it. And I believe that God is there and helped us and started us out. And I believe that Jesus was here. But I am not buying all this mean stuff that he never said or never did.
You know what? I don't buy the Jesus story.
You don't buy the Jesus story? Why not?
There's a reason why I don't buy the Jesus story.
Okay.
Because why did they pick this guy in the Middle East named Jesus? Why didn't they pick a Native American over here named two
dogs.
wolves?
2 dogs running.
2 wolves.
2 wolves. They probably did.
They did.
There's probably more than
because
one.
They believed in a different type of a format that we're one with.
God's a big God.
One with the earth.
God is a big God, and
this Jesus thing.
Well, Jesus came down to reform the Jewish religion.
Came down from where?
Well, he was born to reform the Jewish religion. That's what he came for.
Now, how did he get into Mary?
What?
The story about how he got into Mary.
Well, how do you think every girl gets pregnant? She doesn't know. Every 14-year-old. What happened? I used to tell my kids, you guys are losers when they turn 14. I said, Mary already had Jesus by the time she was your age. No.
Serious?
Yeah, she was 14, I think. Yeah.
And she had an illegitimate baby, wasn't Joseph's.
Right.
That story I don't buy.
Well,
I'm not buying it.
It's like Hercules, when the dove came down, but it was really Zeus, and then his mom got pregnant, and there was a half god, half man. Same story.
This is what I'm telling you. I don't get it.
Well,
Rhonda, you got to kind of,
I'm not going to make you get it, because here's the reality of it. I believe that God is a big God and has the power to come down and do the things that will
come down from where?
From heaven, or wherever they want to call it, wherever he's at.
Where?
Manifest himself. But I think.
Where?
Let me tell you. I think that there have been many sons of God on this earth, and that there are many paths to God. And one of them, the Native Americans, are beautiful. They have a beautiful respect for the Father and the Mother of the world. And
of the world,
of the universe.
The universe. And I think it's the universal energies that create all this. I don't believe that it's this devil, this God, this angel.
I do believe that if God's an all-powerful God, there are 2 things. One, that he doesn't have to be restricted to coming down as a Jew in the middle of the, BC. That he's got the power to come down in many ways and find many people and give them a pathway to righteousness and to be good and kind. We don't listen. That's the problem. None of us listen. It doesn't matter if you believe in Buddha or Jesus or Muhammad or anybody else. We don't listen.
Why are there all these different things? Like Buddha, Muhammad?
Because I believe it came down in the culture and the time that people could understand it. Like a Buddhist isn't going to understand Judaism, and
I always hear this: God is going to strike you down. Is he a damning God?
I don't know. I can't answer that. That's for him to decide. But I do know the only things that Jesus ever said, if you believe in Christianity, I'm going to bring him up. The only thing that he ever said, and when you look at the other religions, it's pretty similar, is you love each other, you treat each other like you want to be treated, and you forgive people. That's really the message. The last thing the man said, I mean, if the most important thing you ever say is on your deathbed, he's hanging on a cross, he's dying, and what's he say? Forgive him. But yet, you know, we don't do that. We just try to force
Well-
these rules down people's throats.
Okay, it couldn't be anybody else besides Jesus.
It could be a number of people that have said that. I mean, I'm not familiar enough with what Muhammad said. I'm not familiar enough with the
Buddhists.
Buddhists. I'm not familiar enough with the Taoism or
Or
the
even the Native
Native American stuff. But most major religions have the same tenet, which is love each other, take care of each other, share what you have, you know, and forgive people. And the other part of it is, if God truly gave people free will, which is choice, right? I say that all the time. What's free will? Choice, choice, choice. Well, then who am I to disagree with God? Give us our choice. I can choose to go to hell if I want to.
Now, where's hell?
That's what I say.
This is another thing. Heaven, hell. Where are these places?
I don't know. I don't even know if they really exist.
That's what I
because,
was telling you.
You know, they might not. My
I don't-
grandmother thought it was inside, that you lived, that you was on earth, that you lived your heaven and you lived your hell in your time on earth.
That's what I was going to say.
Very good.
That's the Native American way.
My grandmother.
And within yourself is where your energies are at. And together, that makes big energy.
Mhm.
And all living things are energy.
Yeah, I think all living things are energy, and I don't think energy ever dies, and it goes somewhere, and I don't know enough. Nobody knows, you know. I mean, we don't know. So anybody that thinks they know, okay, you have a theory. You don't really have any proof.
And then what's cool about this whole thing that we're talking about, we're having good discussion here. The good thing that you're talking about now is other people are trying to govern all the women with these Roe versus Wade, taking away a law that gives you the right to
Yeah.
do what you want.
It's crazy. Oh, so here's some comments. Let's see, we'll start up here and see what we have here.
There's a lot of you
Oh
get
yeah,
a
there's a
lot.
lot today. Preach it, sister, I am. That's from Sue Weaver. She said, hi, Rhonda. And then Michelle, who I went to high school with, she said, what the literal F is this? IUDs now? Yes, a couple more talking about it. Yes, that's true.
Yes, crazy.
Robert's in New York City. He said, hi, just saw Mrs. Doubtfire in Broadway. Tonight's a play with David Morris. Back to Denver tomorrow. Hugs to you. Thank you, Robert. I know you're having a great trip. I can't wait to hear all about it. Otherwise, he said, I would have marched with you to support women's rights to control their bodies. Thank you. My husband marched.
Didn't you really?
Yeah, yep.
Was there a lot of
And it
people
just kept saying, her body, her choice, her body, her choice. It was cute. And then he took a bunch of guys that were carrying a bunch of chopped up baby signs and shoved them out of the way. I was like, yeah, that's my man. Anyway, she said she's from Florida, but she would drive and take people camping if they wanted to. There you go. See, we're gonna take care of other women. We're not gonna let this happen. And then Michelle had a comment that she said, not the fundamentalists. And I don't have anything wrong with that. I have friends that are in that are fundamental, and I believe they're good people, and they're caring people, and they walk the walk, and they talk the talk. But their walk and their talk shouldn't be voted into legislation to prohibit your walk and your talk. That's
And
all.
I find that so, man, when I started hearing about it, it's been bothering me and it won't let go. I hear it on TV, I hear it all around. Who is the Supreme Court? I really dislike the Supreme Court.
Well,
Whoever put that into place a long time ago.
I think it's been beneficial over the years. We just have abuses of it.
Where has it been
when you
beneficial?
Well, we have to decide the laws of the land. That's what they're
But
supposed
why
to do.
in the Supreme Court?
Because that's the three different divisions which are supposed to keep each other in check, right?
And they don't.
And they don't anymore. But the reality is, what I am opposed to is the fact that they shoved Amy, that
Girl, that lady over
yeah,
who is
Amy.
she?
They shoved her. They shoved her in the last minute,
Shoved-
and they shouldn't have done that.
Mm.
Especially when they prohibited us from appointing a justice. That was 1 year before the election, and then this one they put in while the voting had already
Well,
started.
this is where I think
And
it
so that's
sucks.
where there's a problem. And
They
I
should
also
not
think there
allow
should be
that.
age limits on those people, because you can't tell me a Supreme Court justice, as old as some of those are, or a senator or anybody else, like, take somebody like Senator Grassley, what is he, 88 years old or something, and Dianne Feinstein too, if you're gonna go on the other
And
side.
just hanging out.
And they're like, now let's discuss TikTok. They don't know what the hell it is. They think it's a game you play like tic-tac-toe. I mean, they don't even know. And they're voting on stuff, you know. So it's like, I do think we need an age limit for the Supreme Court. I think we need age limits on all of them.
I don't think nobody should appoint anybody in the Supreme Court. That's too political. They can have control. This is the control of it all.
Well, you gotta get them there somehow.
Yeah, but not appointed.
Well, how would they get there?
Vote them in.
That's possible.
You know how they do, where you call
But then
in
you're
like
making
for-
them political, and they didn't want them to
No,
be
what
political.
about this? You know how they do the Voice or the American Idol?
Oh, yeah.
And everybody logs in to vote your...
Vote them off the island.
Yeah.
You can do that right now.
You see what I'm saying? They should allow us to do that kind of thing.
And I'm gonna give a message to, if there's Democrats that are listening, and especially if you're political, you guys are screwing up big time.
Big time.
I mean, you are just handing this country over to a bunch of fascist, white supremacist people who are gonna force religious beliefs and everything else on us.
Watch, it won't take
And-
long, right?
And the reason you're doing it is because you don't have a set of cojones. Grow some. You know, I mean, it's like, we had the control,
Yeah, but
get in
they're
there,
awfully
get rid of the
watching growing,
filibuster, put in a couple more justices to balance out the court.
That's right.
And codify Roe v. Wade. Codify Roe v. Wade.
And
Do it now.
Do it, yeah.
And you're gonna have to do it, you're gonna have to force it through, you're gonna have to find a way to do that. And if you would have been playing hardball this whole time, instead of trying to make nice with people who won't make nice with you, all they do is lie. I mean, look at those justices that came on, those three. They sat there and said, Roe v. Wade was a law on the land, they wouldn't overturn it. The second they got in, they started to overturn it. They're liars, okay? They're liars. They lied in their confirmation hearing. That ought to be grounds for impeachment, right there.
Quickly.
You know, it's like crazy. Anyway, what I was saying is that, you know, Democrats, you need to get out there and you need to get tough.
Quickly.
Quickly. We don't have that much time. Get those people. What the hell is Merrick Garland doing? Start prosecuting those people that are denying subpoenas. Start prosecuting the president, who we know is a treasonous bastard. You know, well, the ex-president. Start getting after these people. I am tired of waiting when you have plenty of evidence. We have plenty of evidence that clearly shows that Donald Trump was clearly involved in the 6th. The insurrection of the 6th. There's plenty of evidence. It's on video. You saw it with your own eyes. People killing policemen, beating them up. This needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, period, because our democracy is at stake. They are treasonous bastards, and you need to get them out. And if you can't figure it out, you're not going to get elected again. You know, you're not going to get elected.